Okay, so let's have a look at how we're going to do these bases. So these are from Generation Shift. Generation Shift, Matt makes just brilliant, excellent bases for Middle-earth strategy battle game and any other game really. They can be used for anything, but they are designed for ME SBG, and this one is specifically the Mumak base. So when it arrives, the first thing I do, and regular viewers will know this very, very well, I'm going to give it a good scrub in hot soapy water and then get it primed, and I will prime it using my grey Vallejo airbrush primer that I brush on. So scrub it with soapy water to get rid of any oil or release agent from the mould, and to make it clean. This means that the paint will not fall off. It means it's a clean surface, so the paint will have something to adhere to and won't fall off. So that's the first thing we'll do. So I'll get that done and then get it primed. I will now bring you along for the rest of the process. We'll just put some hot water in there, and this is washing up liquid or dish soap, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're from. And this is an old toothbrush that obviously I don't use for my teeth anymore. And literally it's as simple as this. We're going to get some hot soapy water and we're going to really scrub away at it to make sure that this surface is nice and clean. It doesn't have any oils, whether from the manufacturing process or from your own fingers as well. Give it a good scrub. Okay, and once you've given it a good scrub, then the hot water comes back on, and just rinse it off in nice hot water, which will mean that it will dry quickly naturally, because I just leave this to dry naturally. So I'm going to pop this in the sun now, let that dry naturally, and I'll bring you back for the next step when I get to it. Right, this has now been primed with my grey primer. Didn't bother filming that because it's just, yeah, well, it's primer with grey primer. So what I've got here is some Nuln oil, and I am going to basically simply pick out the areas that I want to be stone and not covered with dirt and grass, and just do this with a light or not so light Nuln oil wash. Now you can use any colour if you want. Rocks are not grey, obviously, we know this, but for this kind of a base I'm not trying to distract from the model, so I don't mind doing it a little bit more simply and not having many multiple colours on the base. So you can see how we're able to pick this out quite nicely, like so, to pick out these little lumps of rock that have been sculpted into this. Superb. So I'll get this done, then we'll let that dry. It'll dry in the sun in about 2 minutes with how warm it is here right now, and then we'll do the brown. It's a really simple base actually, this. I put it off for a while because I really had no inspiration to how to do it. And now I've done one, I think I can do them in about hobby time, 10-minute elapsed time max. Right, there we are. So we picked out some rocks, not too many, just a few. Let that dry and bring it back in a few minutes for the next step. Alright, so that's dried nicely. What I'm now going to do is come along with my house paint, which I have here, which I'm going to need to give it a bit of a shake actually. Just give that a bit of a shake. But yeah, I just use house paint rather than spending lots of money. There we are, this is chocolate house paint, and what we're going to do is come and paint this everywhere where we don't have the rocks, and this will act as a nice kind of underlay for the static grass, which is the final stage for this. So yeah, don't feel like you have to use hobby paints for everything. Miniature paints are expensive, particularly if you start painting things this big, and a lot of standard construction paints like this do have enough pigment in them, certainly for this kind of job at the very least. Not sure that I would. I mean, you can paint miniatures with them actually, I know people have. I'm not sure I would. but most miniatures are small, but this is big. So yeah, anyway, so we'll get this all painted, get this dried. I'll just stick it in the sun, it'll dry again very quickly. And then once that's dried, I'll bring you back for the next and final step of how I'm doing these. And I'm pretty happy with how they're looking, to be honest. So yeah, and I've got enough Mumak to cover. I've got another one on the way as well. I'm actually doing two at the same time here. So yeah, got that painted. And I'll bring you out and show you the next step, which is going to be static grassing very shortly. Alright, so that's dried nicely. So what we've got now is my Warbird Scenics Fast Tack Glue. And I'm going to start doing some static grassing. So I had it suggested that I should blue tack the miniature on, or because one of the problems you've got with what you're about to see is the potential for the Mumak actually not sticking when it's on top of the static grass, but it seems to grab quite nicely, so I think it's actually okay. So we'll spread this out and we'll see whether it works or not. As I say, you can potentially mark where the feet are going to go, put some blue tack down, and then not put any glue or any static grass where the feet are going to go, and then potentially avoid any future issues. But I'm hoping it's going to be alright. And what I've just realised is, having done this, is I've not got any newspaper down. So give me 1 second, I'm going to get some newspaper. There we are, that's better. So what I've got is some spring, some summer grass actually at the moment in my hopper. So we're just going to come along, turn it on would help, and then fire that over all of it. And as you see, I've only put glue down in some places, so I'm going to be able to do this one a little bit differently from what I did the first, and then I'll do it with multiple different types of static grass. So we've got the first one on, turn it over, give it a good shake off. You can see we've got a nice patchy area there. So now we'll put the summer grass back into its pot, and then we'll do the same with some spring and some patchy. So there we are. So that's our summer layer. Let's do spring next. Oops, that was messy, wasn't it? Fortunately, it went onto my newspaper, so I'll be able to recover that shortly. So a little bit more glue. I'm going to do most of it now with the spring, and I'm just going to leave a couple of little patches for some patchy. Let's go. That's a spring on, so we'll turn that over, tap it off. It's coming on nicely. And then once again, just gather that together and put it back into its pot. And last but not least, we'll get the patchy grass and get that done, and then leave that to dry, stick the Mumak on it, and then use varnish. This is my new trick for static grass. I don't bother trying to glue it down. I use spray on varnish, and it holds it in place really, really nicely. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue here, a little bit along here, just to make it a little bit more interesting. A little bit of patchiness. Like so. And there we are. And we're done. So now we'll shake that off. And there we are, really nice base. So I will close up very shortly with pictures of the Mumak on this base. Hopefully you've enjoyed that and that's been of use to you. And yeah, if you're in the market or I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I really love his product. So yeah, get in touch with Generation Shift, Matt over there, and pick up some bases. They're all really, really good.